We are starved of connection because of our fear of authenticity, and this has major downward effects. It is interfering with our ability to connect, and we're a social species. We need to connect. Hey guys, I'm Jen, and I quit my job in fintech a few months ago as a cybersecurity analyst, and partly because of this need for human connection and interaction. I worked remotely for several years, and I lived by myself. There are some other parts to that too. Maybe, a large part of it was that I didn't feel I could live authentically to my needs. And the thing about working remotely and never meeting your coworkers in person, we did. I met them 2 times in the 3 years that I worked there. But you're only getting a sliver of their personality. And it was kind of hard for me to gauge how I could really show up. Now, that's just, partly it. I'm not gonna deep dive because that's not what this video is about. But this has been on my mind, what with how the world is currently. Everyone's remote, or it seems that way anyways. And everyone's online, and we have made such avatars of ourselves in a digital landscape that connection has been really hard for us because authenticity is so hard for us these days, and we're starved for it. Like I said, when we feel fakeness or insecurity from another person, subconsciously we don't feel safe sharing ourselves with them. So your connection with them will fall short. You won't be in sync. Or at the very least, it'll feel very contrived if you think there's a connection there. But there is a distinction between fake and surface level interaction, something really just shallow. Surface level is when you only talk to someone about the weather, So I go on daily walks on a nearby trail, and there's this older couple that I see almost every day, and we say hi, we recognize each other, we will comment on the weather. We won't stop and talk, but there are salutations involved, but we're definitely not getting very deep. There is value in having even that kind of brief and fleeting connection, as long as it's positive, right? Because it does leave the door open for further deepening of conversation, now that you guys have established familiarity. But fakeness and insecurity. Fakeness is derived from a type of insecurity. Usually it's one of 2 things. It's, I want them to think more highly of me, or I don't think very highly of them. On the first track, when someone wants you to think more highly of them, you guys will become instant friends for no reason. This is very different from hitting it off with someone. That does happen. But when you guys are bonding over external things, events or people, and often they're negative, oh, look what she's wearing, or what do you think about so and so? If we just met, don't expect me to be passing negative judgment on someone to you. I will not be venting to you. But the grand scheme here is deflection. It's, don't look too closely over here. So that's, someone wanting you to think more highly of them. On the other hand, when someone doesn't think very highly of you, you kind of know what that looks like, right? Maybe there'll be a handshake. I hope if they're polite, there would be a handshake at a first meeting. But, they'll maybe have a tight-lipped smile that doesn't quite meet their eyes. Maybe they're looking, they're not really trying to keep the conversation going. They clearly have somewhere else to be. And in that case, I will say, please go where you need to be. Godspeed, there's no connection here. Let's be on our way. But the thing that I jive with and what I am really about is when people are authentic. They have to be authentic with themselves first and foremost. When there's self-awareness involved, these people can then be authentic with you. And it doesn't mean that you'll be the best of friends, but there is a dance for connection here. And that's the key. There is a dance going on. And that often looks like you guys are paying attention to what each other are saying, and there is a sort of search for purchase in a topic or in a thing that you said. That is a point of contact that has some grip. They can relate to you, and in turn, share a part of them in a sort of handshake or offering of, hey, here's common ground. And that relation there, that point of contact, will be the start of your connection, and the depth of your connection really depends on, I guess, what you decide to share, how authentic you are, right? I'm not asking anyone to trauma dump. I don't think that is a good strategy. But the most meaningful connections come from the most vulnerable parts of ourselves. To be authentic requires courage or naivete, but if you've lived life and have been burned a couple of times, chances are you're not that naive. So it'll take courage. To be authentic with someone, you are being vulnerable with them. And you can only hope that they're going to treat you with compassion, or at least with curiosity, like meet you with curiosity, right? Oh, it's career change. What made you decide to do that? Or, how is that going now? Or something, something, where clearly they may not understand your decision, but they're not rejecting you. Like they're trying to dig a bit deeper. They're trying for understanding. So I think that could be your best hope, right? Compassion or curiosity. But there's a very real awareness by people who are being vulnerable that you could be met with judgment and disdain and be rejected for your choices or for your thoughts. So when I was quitting, or when I put in my notice, I went to each coworker, and I was like, hey, it was great to work with you. I put in my notice, this is why, and that kind of stuff. I mean, I've worked with these people for years, and I genuinely liked every one of them. So I went door to door on Zoom. None of them treated me with disdain or anything negative at all. There were two of them who really surprised me. So I wasn't expecting them to be so supportive and then to have, to share a story in turn. But I was like, hey, I'm quitting for this reason. I don't want to feel like I'm going through the motions anymore. I'm whatever, kind of, unhappy in this way. But it was really great working with you. And it's not any of you guys are the best team and the greatest or whatever, but this work is just wearing me down. And he was like, you know what, Jen, I totally support this. And I totally understand because, I've been doing this kind of work for 10, 15 years, probably more than 10. And, incident commanding is not an easy job. And that's something that I think every incident commander has had to do in their career, was take a sabbatical and kind of take a knee. You need some time to yourself. I did this 3 months or 6 months, good luck, great working with you, blah, blah, blah. And the second guy, same thing. He was like, Jen, it sucks to lose you. You're great to work with. He's said all these really nice things that I wasn't expecting. But he eventually was like, I had to do the same thing. I had to take a sabbatical. This line of work is really it's stressful, and you have to kind of take a moment for yourself, and da da da. And I really couldn't believe it. I really didn't expect anyone to kind of co-sign, not that I needed anyone to co-sign it, but I felt bad about leaving the team because I knew that we were short-manned already. And look, I just felt really terrible. But after hearing that from them and being assured that, hey, you just got to do what you got to do, that was really awesome. And that was a really deep point of connection. I was on my way out, but I still wasn't expecting this point of connection here where they really understood me. They really related to it. It meant a lot to me, and I wouldn't have gotten that warm, fuzzy feeling or really felt convicted. Well, that's a lie. I was really convicted in my choice. I was leaving. But it was a really reassuring feeling, and it was really awesome to connect with them in that way. And I know that I can kind of hit them up out of the blue, and that we have maybe more of a connection than if I had just not said anything and, put in my notice with my boss and had just left. But even to share with them why I was leaving and all this, that was hard. It was kind of sticky to get around that, but that was the truth, and that's how I felt. And I just decided to have the courage to tell them up front and to tell them the real reason, other than just really non-personal and just really general. It'd be nice to have a sabbatical or something. I could have said that, but, I told them the real reason. Hey, this is wearing me down. I feel like I'm going through the motions. I'm really stressed out. I had personal things going on too. And so, this is what I've decided. It was really great working with you. Thank you for making the team awesome. And, I learned a lot from you and da 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 da. They decided to share that with me, you know what I mean? Because they could have just been like, no, we understand it and good luck, Godspeed. But even in my leaving, I felt that there was maybe a strengthening of camaraderie there. Anywho, so the stakes to operate authentically might seem really high, but the people who can't help but judge or cast aspersions, they're not winning. Just know that. They're not winning in life. They have some internal battles, whatever. If their knee-jerk reaction is to cast judgment, they have some work to do on themselves. But the payout for even one real connection far outweighs the niceties and the courtesies that you might be used to in low-stakes daily interactions. So test the water and be authentic. Make a connection or even a friend, or do it on YouTube. It's quite liberating. And again, people are starved for it. They're just starved. So you can really come on here and build a community. if you choose to be authentic. But in your daily life, just do it, test the water. The connections that you do make, they're so worth it. People want connections, they want authenticity. Again, we are in a world of online avatars, like, of ourselves, just sharing what we think is palatable. It's not that deep, it's not really real. And I really believe that this is the way of the future. People need realness. Like, it's not sustainable to be so fake. It's just tiresome. People are tired of it. Whatever you do, really try it out. Try authenticity. I know people go online to kind of just be a potato and to zone out and whatever. And sure, fine. But you can't live off of junk food forever. Like, people do come back to the meat and potatoes. So that's been on my mind. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.